I'm a nerd.
Nerds.
Nerds.
Nerds!
I'm not kissing a nerd.
What is a nerd?
Nerd! Holy crap, are we nerdy?
There's only been one.
Okay. No.
Welcome, Nerdables, to episode 107. This week we are going to be talking The Walking Dead's record numbers for the season premiere. Doug Liman may be directing Gambit at Channing Tatum's request. Supergirl has a 90-minute premiere. Why the Last Man will be on FX, it looks like. Marvel is super late on all new, all different Avengers and most of their X-Men titles. And Hideo Kojima finally and is confirmed leaving Konami after 3 decades. And then there's this little indie film that's got a trailer released today that we should be talking about. I think it's Star Fights, Star Battles, Star Wars, right? Something like that?
Battlestar Galactica.
Battlestar Galactica, no. We got to be talking about that and the season premiere of Rebels, as well as there was one other Star Wars news that I was going to say. Anyways, if I remember when we're talking about Star Wars, we'll talk about it. So joining me are Ethan, Chris, and Sebastian. Welcome, guys.
Hello.
Hey. So we'll start right off with Ethan's favorite topic so he can stop talking the rest of the night. The Walking Dead.
I thought you'd want to keep me without talking more.
Well, that we gotta save your voice for the Walking Dead cast.
Oh, is that it?
That's what we got to do.
Oh, okay, cool.
Because that's your turn. That's when you get to actually speak your mind. So, anyways, we are now the second week of The Walking Dead, but The Walking Dead season premiere opened to record numbers.
Did it? Because I heard otherwise. I heard that this season premiere is actually...
It's the lowest since season 3.
It was the lowest first night watching, but when they added all the DVR numbers, it picked it back up.
Right. It still had really big numbers, but it was the lowest since season 3.
Chris, do you know what the numbers were?
I'm looking at it.
It was 14.
It was 14.5, I thought.
No, it's almost 20 million.
Yeah,
that's after they added
the live plus 3
was 14.
The live plus 3 bring the total viewership to almost 20 million.
Right.
But
the actual day was like.
Well, I think last season the live broadcast brought in like 17.1
right,
million.
and that was before the DVRs.
So I mean, like that tells you, at least 3 million people more watched
after
5 than they did 6.
Well, at least in the first 3 days.
Well, no, I'm just talking about the first night.
The first night, right?
Wait, and again, it's one of the TV landscape is shifting, the viewership is shifting. So I know there's probably a lot of people who panicked at AMC that first night, but then it's also perspective, guys. You gotta
there's a couple of things
everybody doesn't watch on the day of anymore.
Well, it's also that I think they had 2 really big things going against it. Number 1 is it was a 90-minute episode instead of an hour.
Correct.
And 2, the fall ones always hurt because they go up against Sunday Night Football.
Yeah.
And
there was also a baseball game.
You have the baseball playoffs and
the NFL.
What was it? It was the 49ers and Giants, which isn't huge, but New York's a huge market. And,
but still,
the Giants are going to. Yeah, Sunday Night Football.
Didn't the Cubs and Mets play? Didn't they?
I believe so. Yes.
Which that right there, I mean, that's going to take a lot of viewership.
So it's
everybody
a lot of live viewership
prediction to come true.
Well, last week it was the Dodgers and Mets, still, wasn't it?
On Sunday, whatever it was,
whatever game it was a playoff game. It was a big.
It was Dodgers Mets. The Mets won.
Yeah. So I mean that obviously is going to hurt the first night viewing.
Because live viewership. There's a reason why these sports television companies are paying insane record amounts for the rights to broadcast sports is because it's the only thing that is consistently watched live anymore.
Right.
I mean, Time Warner Cable didn't give the Dodgers $4 billion for the rights to not broadcast Dodger games in 90% of the homes in L.A. For no reason. It was, hey, people are going to watch this, and this is the only time that we can sell beer and cars and go into any
insurance.
Place.
Yeah. One thing I do wonder, though, I know Nielsen had talked about for a while that if you skipped commercials on your DVR, they wouldn't count your viewing as true viewership numbers because there was no ad revenue from it. So I wonder if that still applies or if they actually ever did enact that.
But another thing I'm also thinking is, what about people who strictly watch online?
Right.
Like through AMC's website or, whatever else streaming service
or
that
illegally.
Well, see, that's as Sebastian mentioned, the landscape of television is changing because that is happening more and more. A lot of people are starting to leave their cable or satellite provider because they're wanting an a la carte type deal.
Right.
And
Well,
the more that these stations start to have their own apps and their own streaming, the more it's going to happen.
I don't watch CBS because they're not on Hulu. They're
Yeah.
the only company that opted out, so I really don't care to.
There's a lot of
do
people
that.
that watch on Hulu because you're going to get it either the same night or the next night.
Right. Well, I pay $11 commercial free
Mm-hmm.
on Hulu. I pay like $11 for Netflix, which then picks up anything else that is on other networks
Right.
for the most
Yeah.
part. Plus my Amazon Prime, which has pretty much the same stuff.
I was going to say Amazon Prime usually gets the FX stuff.
They usually do get FX stuff, but again, it's pretty much the same stuff as Netflix, because Netflix will get FX stuff too eventually.
Right.
So, I mean, with those three alone, I've basically covered all of my television watching.
Right, and you think about it, that's maybe upwards of $30 a month. And
Right.
You don't have to buy
Right.
all these extra channels.
Well,
stuff
and
like
not
that.
even that, because my Amazon Prime is $100 a year.
Yeah, so
So-
it calculates to
so
about
I-
$8 a month.
Yeah, so I would put myself maybe just under 30, because it'd be about 27, 28 bucks.
Right.
So yeah, and that's still far
Which-
cheaper than a cable or satellite subscription will ever be. Because that's at
Well, you
least
can get like a
$100 month
basic
there.
package for like $30 with like DirecTV or Time Warner. So
Right,
you can't
and-
really, you won't get a whole lot versus what you can get with.
Right, but it's also you got to
$30
pay for your box, you got to pay for the dishes.
You're
Yeah.
renting the box every month.
Right.
You're
Right.
renting, you got to rent the equipment and things like
How
that.
this turned into our debate on
Um,
satellite TV or cable TV.
But even so, with cable, you still got to pay for the box a month too. But yeah, there's a lot of cord cutters, and I know people my age are heavy cord cutters because the internet is more accessible. So I know there's still.
it's also hipper.
I don't think it's hip at all. Really, it's nothing like, oh, look at you, old man, with your cable and your satellite box.
You're
No,
so old.
I don't. For me, it's just a matter of convenience because with Netflix and Hulu and Amazon Prime, I can at least go, all right, Muppet Show aired Tuesday night. Well, I'm doing stuff Tuesday night. I don't really care. Oh,
can watch it Wednesday night.
I can watch it Wednesday night, whatever, and then just go back and
Yeah,
watch
the internet does even more of what your DVR would do before.
Right.
Because you can, if you're someone who has no problem watching it on an iPad or a phone,
Yeah.
you can watch it
It'll take it
wherever,
anywhere.
whenever. Yeah. My friend Doug cut the cord last year, and that's what he does now. He watches everything on his iPad. He takes the bus to work now, and so he watches everything on his iPad on the way to work.
Right.
And he has access to everything that he wants to watch. And he wasn't a big, he wasn't someone that was watching scripted television when it was on. The only thing, like me, the only thing that he watches live is sports. The only thing I watch live anymore is sports. There isn't anything that I can think of.
And even they offer subscriptions now just to
There's
watch.
there's you
like if
can
you have
get
an Apple TV or a Roku box.
if you have a
you can
Roku
even-
box, you can get NHL Game Center.
Yeah.
For me, honestly, if I really wanted to, I could cut the cord for there. But where I live, my parents, I'm living with my parents again.
Yeah,
so
might
I'm
as
trying to
well
help
use
with
it if
medicals.
you've got it.
They're just like, they were not going to be able to figure out how to watch the programs they want to watch on it.
But with a lot of sports, you have ESPN now, you have Fox Go, you have a lot of those where you can pick them up. But it's one of those things where, even with my DVR, I still end up watching a lot of stuff either the next night or the night. Only the shows that I really go, okay, I've got to sit down tonight and watch this are the ones that I make sure that I watch
I can
live.
understand that. I guess I've gotten to the point where there's nothing.
I don't have a single show.
Yeah, and it's not so much. That's not.
that
that doesn't relate to quality of the programming. It's just that because I can just go like, oh, I miss, whatever. It's on tonight. I'll watch it tomorrow. Whatever.
But even a lot of
The
even-
last single episode that I can think of that I made sure I sat down and watched live was the finale of Lost.
Really?
That's how long it's been.
But see, even some of the shows that I
that
watched.
would be around the same time for me too. Not Lost specifically, but just like before the internet got big for watching television. What was that? 2008, 9-ish.
6 seasons from 4, so it's 2010 or 2011.
2011. Yeah, that's about right for me.
But see, even some of the shows that I watch the same night, they're not necessarily live. There'll be something I've watched, it recorded, and then half hour, or an hour later, I end up watching it. So, I'm still fast forwarding through the commercials through a lot of that, which, if I waited the next day, if I decided I really wanted to cut the cord, then I could, and just, but there are shows that I watch on HBO and Stars, and there's things like,
I
the
know
night.
HBO Go and HBO Now, you just pay
Yeah.
like $11 a month.
Yeah. Which is funny. Like I think I looked at it every time. Everything that I would like to sign up for as like an a la carte package.
Yeah.
It would still cost as much as if I decided to get like a DirecTV. Or
See, that's one of the things as this becomes more and more fractured. We talked about this with Netflix. It's like Netflix used to be the only place that had all the streaming movies, and then as everyone like, well, we want a piece of this pie now too. You're talking about you used to be able to like, oh, we can stream almost everything that's available is on Netflix, and it's like $10 a month. And now it's no, it doesn't have anything anymore because all these different companies have removed stuff from it, and you have stuff like Amazon, and you have different apps and different services. And now every single one of them want $10. You're like, okay, I'm back to like $60-$70 a month just to get entertainment. It's just kind of odd. A lot of the apps are I mean, like the FX or the Fox app, you have to have an existing cable company. HBO Go was the same way. If you
ESPN,
had to have
watch ESPN and Fox Net Go.
Yeah, you have to have a cable or satellite service already. That's
Well,
and
like
a lot of them
HBO
they're also they're connected to specific companies. For a long time, the Fox app didn't. If you had DirecTV, the Fox, directed.
And some companies still do that too.
Even with the Fox app, if you have DirecTV, you're limited to some of the stations that they offer with their viewing. Like this weekend with the Marshall game, I had to use my dad's account because
that's because of regionality.
Right, exactly.
The regionality is different. I'm talking about if the Fox app has everything that's in Fox's. I'm talking about the Fox app has everything that's in prime time at the same time.
As far as like regular,
if you want to watch, if you want to watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine, you can watch it on the Fox app. What I was saying is, when it first came out, they didn't have a deal with DirecTV, so you couldn't do it. One of the problems with HBO now, not available through Roku.
Right.
Which drives me up the wall. I would pay for that. I would totally get that. But I was like, I'm not going to change, and I'm not going to go out and buy Apple, TV or whatever that does everything my Roku box already does, just because HBO is too stupid to make a deal with the biggest provider of that type of service.
I could see Apple or Roku or Amazon Fire coming up with a way to have an a la carte with these apps. So whatever subscription fee they come up with, that they're going to be able to pay these guys, these individual providers, that you pay Apple $70 a month, and you get to pick which apps that you can.
That would be too much for me. That would be
more than likely.
$30 is already my.
More than likely, what they'll do is that everything will be tiered.
Yeah.
If you want to buy, I mean, that's basically what a cable channel is.
Right.
ESPN has the highest cable fees of anyone because of the way their contract is. If you have Roku and you want the ESPN channel on your Roku, that's going to cost you $10. If you want, the Home and Garden Network, that's $1.
Right.
FX is going to be $8 or whatever it's going to be. It may not be that high, but you're going to see the same thing. When people said, "Oh, a la carte's the answer," no, because a la carte's going to be way too expensive.
Yeah,
kind of want to know you have to pay. Orders the Home and Garden Network.
But what I'm saying is, someone who really enjoys Home and Garden.
This comes from the man who watches nearly all of the reality shows.
There's a lot of talk of that, but then I go, well, that's just another way to drive people to piracy again.
Yeah.
And
let's watch this Grass Girl.
Right, but that's the thing is Netflix.
Well, that's the thing is
the way Netflix
you have
handles
to
their shows. They buy TV shows to air on Netflix based on what's pirated the most.
Yeah.
And that's how they do it. And Amazon also has a similar system
because it's a conveniency thing of
if.
Because piracy, as easy as it is, it's still easier to just turn on your Netflix, right? For the most part, maybe not for Sebastian because he's just totally on this.
For me,
anyways,
it's
Sebastian already has a Star Wars movie in his hard drive right now.
Well, it was like
but he didn't pre-order it.
No, I didn't pre-order. I would rather. Well, it's a movie. They're not going to change the movie on you after your pre-order.
You're supposed to download the.
I'm sorry. Did you just say they're not going to change the Star Wars movie on you?
No, that's true. Well, it's the
you're gonna have to download the bonus features and the bonus scenes. All right.
Well, they did that with the Star Trek movie on the Blu-rays. That every retailer got a specific special feature, and the only way to get all the special features was to buy 7 different Blu-rays.
But now, when you buy the digital copy, that's available.
No, even for iTunes and your
all of them
and stuff, they all had different special features.
Well, no. What I mean is, but now, yes, for that specific situation. But now, when you how they do the movies like a month early sometimes, you get all the bonus features with it.
Yeah.
Unless it's going to be something that's exclusive to a certain store.
No, it's like
and then when their servers crash, you don't have it anymore.
Like BBC America, when they get Doctor Who, they get the versions that are edited for commercials because
Yes.
Americans love commercials in their television shows.
And BBC doesn't have to have commercials
Right.
because
Well, they
it's-
have commercials in between programs.
Yes.
So it's like, why am I going to wait not only until 9 o'clock at night, but for something that is edited?
Oh, it's East Coast time.
Not-
You get it at 6.
Yeah, regardless, but it's edited for commercials.
Yes.
They cut out lines, they cut out B stories. Like, no, screw you guys. I'll go pirate it and then go buy the Blu-ray later.
So that way he makes sure they get their money so he doesn't feel bad.
No, I don't feel bad.
So anyways, the Walking Dead season premiere happened.
Oh, is that what we were talking
Yes, we did cover it on last week's the Deadcast. Make sure you guys check out every week because Ethan and I will be doing the Walking Dead cast every week.
Every week?
Every
Are we
week.
Sure.
And
Are we
sometimes
positive?
Chris will be on it.
Because that worked out for Fear of the Walking Dead.
Well, Fear the Walking Dead was, yeah.
about? Well, we were kind of almost giving up on that show.
We almost did give up. So, you guys all watched it? Yes? No?
No.
Yes.
You didn't see the season premiere yet?
No, I haven't. Just go watch it when I get home. I've been watching
Okay,
other stuff.
then we won't discuss. Well, for those, were you happy with the way the season premiere happened, Ethan?
Yeah.
I mean, I know you and I,
I enjoyed
discussed
it.
it. Chris, what did you think of it?
What did I think of it? I don't know.
Did you not watch it either?
No, I watched it.
Oh, okay.
Actually, which is actually odd for me.
He can't remember.
Which season? I think it was season 2, where I think I was 4 weeks behind
Yes,
at one
he
point.
was.
I came here and Rich is just like, "Have you watched it?" I'm like, no, I have like 4 of them in there. What the hell? I'm like, I don't know. I got to one where Daryl's like walking through a house, and I just fast forwarded through about 10 minutes, and nothing happened. I'm like, why am I watching this?
We should go. No, we should stay.
Oh, season 2.
We should go.
We should watch season 2 again.
No, we should not.
All I
Yes, we
remember is
should.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Morgan, so that was what everybody
That was
was talking about.
awesome.
Yes.
Teenage Mutant. I don't know. The black and white thing was interesting, but it was also sort of a. I think I fall in the camp of it was black and white just to be black and white. Like our viewers are too stupid to figure out the difference.
Well, I mean, that's kind of what they.
No,
What
we
they
talked about that.
yeah.
I mean, it's very concrete that the black and white was the flashbacks.
Well, yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. It was to me. It was saying, okay, we don't think our viewership is smart enough to figure out. Rick's got a whole bunch of bandages. He doesn't have as many bandages. They're in the compound. They're out of the compound. So let's make sure it goes black and white. It was an interesting choice.
I liked the choice because it was, to me, it felt like it was a throw to the comic book, and I would enjoy having all of the flashbacks from now on be black and white. Because
I just look. I've gone through 3 seasons of Arrow. I don't need flashbacks anymore. No more flashbacks.
Well, flashbacks are also a big no-no in storytelling unless you actually can do a solid flashback. But no, as
A flashback works if you use it. Like if you use it once for
Probably,
this,
yeah.
it was to kind of set this thing apart. What Arrow does is, its flashbacks are continually.
It's part
This
of
is
the
what
formula.
happened to Ollie, and look how it ties into now. And that's great. The first season,
You're right.
And the second season, you're like, okay. By the end of the third season, you're like, for the love of God,
Well, have you watched this season?
yeah.
Sandra?
And I'm like, just tell the damn story already. I don't need to see him. Plus, there's no tension on it. Of course, he gets off the island and all that stuff, and the fact that every flashback is I think he goes back to the island 45 times.
Oh, he does.
It's
Well,
amazing.
now he cut his hair in the
Yeah.
flashback, which doesn't make sense to how long his hair was in the. So anyway,
Well, it depends how far the flashback
well,
is.
you know,
But
the
you
more,
something
the
like
more you remember thing, the more your memory degrades. So he
And-
started remembering himself with the regular hair.
yeah, when it's a plot device, it gets tiresome. In a case of something like Lost, where it was much more of a character device, it was to see these characters in their lives beforehand and how the island had changed them. It works because it wasn't something very specific like on the island they have to shoot somebody. Look at this character 5 years ago that had to shoot somebody. What
Right.
choices will they make? It was on the island he has to shoot somebody, and he's not going to. Before he was a torturer, and
Right.
he actually murdered people all the time. And it was just that's what interesting to. I don't think they'll use. Well, I haven't seen the second episode. Do you use flashbacks in the second episode?
Well,
In terms
I
of like
think
the
in
whole
the,
thing?
in the
Well,
beginning,
the
there's
very,
a
very
little-
beginning.
yeah.
Okay.
Did they do
But
it
they've
in-
used that before
Did
too.
they do it in
Yes.
black and white too?
no, and that was kind of disappointing.
See,
to
that's
me.
the
See,
other
that-
point.
That I
Because they've done flashbacks. They go back when they show Shane when Rick first gets hurt. They've had flashbacks to times before, and
Right.
they haven't had them in black and white.
right.
So stylistically, to jump to this for one single episode
Doesn't make sense.
doesn't fit in.
Right.
And that was part of
and
what.
as cynical as what you said sounded, it's very, very true from a television standpoint, especially from storytelling. Like I'm pretty sure that that's exactly the reason, is that we're not sure if people can figure out if it's a flashback, so we have to change. It's either put Vaseline on the lens or do the haze around the street, star wipe, but no, black and white.
Oh, Star Wipe would have been great.
But see, and that's how I felt last night watching it, was that if they would have done the flashback scene, which was the opening scene, stay consistent with it, it would have been great. I would have felt the same way. Yes, to me, like I said, it felt like a throwback to the comic, which is great. To give that black and white, like they did the first season, and you remember when they went back and they did the whole thing.
They did a black and white version of it,
right? Which was cool. But this, if they would have stayed
They
consistent.
can't do that with this episode.
Well, if they would have stayed consistent for this whole season, at least, anytime they show a flashback, or even if it's at the
But
beginning.
I think it's a tough thing. You can't stay consistent for a season with something that is such a physical device. It's not a tone device. Again, we'll go back to Lost Seasons
especially since
flashbacks.
I assume they're covering for because the show takes place in this quasi real time where the gap between seasons is literally the gap the characters experience in the show. Is what I've noticed from season to season.
Except this season.
Okay.
This season,
Well, it wasn't- well,
this
because
season takes exactly.
Well, season
Well,
4
no,
and
even
5
last
doesn't either.
season, even last season happened right after.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
4's in there in the truck, or no? I think it's only season 3 to 4.
2 and 3, or 3 and 4. Whenever Carl
season-
started growing up.
Season 2 is the farm explodes. Season 3, it is
It's them
like
on the
a couple
road,
weeks later when they find the
between
prison.
season 1 and season 2, they took 6 months. Between season
2 and 3.
2 and
About
3,
7 to
there
8.
was 6 months because it skipped winter.
Yeah.
Right. And then
Well, I
when
think
they got to the
Wrong show.
prison
That's-
/
That was season 2 to
season
season 3.
3, that was also a couple months of a jump.
Well, I think in season 3,
Well, season 3 was the prison. Season 2 was the farm.
Yeah.
Season 2 ended the farm, and the last thing you see is the
Yeah,
prison.
the prison in the background, but didn't they go around it or something like that? Because season 3, it took them forever to get to it.
Yeah, because they skipped winter.
Yeah.
and
then they skipped-
manicured the lawns.
Yes.
Prison.
Yes.
They
And
pulled
then that's
all
when they
Well,
started.
the zombies are like goats; they just eat everything.
They started planting shit and
yeah,
growing
and then they
crops.
got to
That was between 3 and 4.
Woodbury, and Woodbury was also a bit of a jump too.
Yes,
Yeah. So
and they did show a flashback of that because they showed how Andrea and Michonne hooked up.
yes.
That's what I'm saying. There's flashbacks in the show that are all in different sense of time. There's flashbacks to before the apocalypse. There's flashbacks to right after it. There's flashbacks to a few months ago in the case of Andrea and Michonne. And here you have a flashback, which is literally hours before the show starts.
Well,
At the beginning of the show, you have the moment where they're at the ravine or whatever, the quarry.
Don't spoil it for Sebastian.
He's seen it.
I don't.
He doesn't care.
Sebastian doesn't care.
I don't care about spoilers.
The zombies kill everybody, and the season is over.
Oh, really?
Yep.
I mean,
That's why it was 90 minutes. Like, goodbye, folks.
This
series
time they would
finale.
finally not kill anybody.
Hey,
with
goodbye,
zombies.
folks.
The series
Um,
finale.
There you go.
And Daryl walks off to the sunset.
Daryl.
and that's
I
about
had a
it.
dream Daryl
Motorcycle.
died last night, and it fit so well in the show. And I was like, this is how you kill off Daryl. And I don't remember it now. But I just
Now you're dreaming about Daryl. But anyway, back to the point that the flashback in this is literally hours before.
Okay, so they just did
There's all these different
It
times.
sounds like
and
they
again,
did a
there
little
just
bit
isn't
of
a reason to.
oh, you see a little bit of action, then now we need to explain why we're in this tense situation. Let's go back 6 hours.
well,
and-
as we're talking about it, I do realize it does seem like this was done solely to let the audience know, okay, now
Yeah.
we're going back.
right,
And to me, that's a
fine.
to me, it's a total cop out. I'm so sick. Of
I
it's
do
so
agree
stupid.
with
Yeah.
that, but I also go, it's like, well, at least they did something a little creative with the flashback to tell you what point in time it was.
It's the every time I see it, it reminded me of NCIS
Star
because
Wars,
NCIS
Star Wars.
always goes into the when you come back from the commercial break, or is it before or whatever? There's basically a scene that it's leading up to. There's like a shot, and it's in black and white of Gibbs saying something, and you're like, what the hell is this?
His
and then
quip,
you watch
and
the
then-
whole thing, and that's the point it gets to,
Okay.
and then it stops
Well,
again.
it reminds me of I was reading about for the movie Inception when they aired it in television when they aired it on TV in Japan, they actually did the level jumps in the corner of the screen which makes sense because if you're watching something on TV and you get commercial breaks or you walk away, you'd want to know where you are in the story. And I feel like something like that would be useful, or at least a clever use of, like, if we're doing flashbacks, let's explain, like, this is 5.4 hours before, kind of do that 24 thing, which
where they do the clock at the
where
bottom.
they did the
or whatever.
clock,
Yeah.
which, especially if you're going to do something that sounds as time sensitive.
So you're talking about Venture Brothers season 3
Yeah.
opener, which is the first time I watched it. I didn't understand what the hell was going on.
Yeah.
I realized the comic book was the key.
Yeah, you needed to know the chapters in the first appearance of the Human Torch, the android Human Torch.
Well, it was also the fact that the comic book, you saw the comic book getting better.
Yes.
Because the first time I watched it, I'm like, what the F is going on?
It was like you would see one point where it was torn up and another point where it was fine.
pristine,
and then
yeah.
another point when it was torn up. Yeah, but
Brilliantly done.
to watch the episode, you needed to. Was it Amazing Fantasy? No, it was Amazing Stories #1. It was one of the early Marvel comics.
No, it was Marvel Comics #1.
Marvel Comics #1,
which is the first appearance of
of
the original
Android
the
Human
Android
Torch. And the episode was in the order of the chapters in the book because it was an anthology. So you had to know, like, okay, so you have to go through 15 minutes into the episode to know that's part 1. So then you have to stop, rewind, fast forward to get the actual linear episode. It was pretty great.
So speaking of Marvel characters,
Yes.
making a little segue here. I was wondering how we were going to get that segue. Doug Liman, it seems to be like he's going to be directing Gambit.
That's a Fox movie, not a Marvel movie.
Well, that's still Gambit is a Marvel character.
which is owned at Fox.
No, Marvel's going to get rid of all the X-Men because they're stupid and because they don't own them, so they're going to get rid of them.
Do you
It's
think
going to
that-
happen. It happened like 3 years ago. I don't know. There's no X-Men titles anymore.
But do you guys think this came about from when? Remember a few months ago we were talking about Channing Tatum not going to do Gambit,
Well, he was going to do it, but
but then he all of a
everybody-
sudden he said he wasn't going to do it, and then real quick they came back and said, okay, he's doing it.
I don't
So
think
that was-
well, he never said he wasn't doing it at all. It was people presumed he wasn't doing it, and I'm sure it's because there was some finalization of his contract that needed to go through, and the mole who sits under the desk with the stethoscope under the table at the
mole?
meetings was like, "Oh my god, he may not be
no
in this."
star
Yeah,
RM pick.
Yeah. And he pulls out his iPhone under the desk and like he may not be in the movie, and everyone runs with that story because you need the clicks. And
I think
you
we
need
should
that ad money.
mention that Sebastian said he pulled his iPhone out from under the desk and started typing like a typewriter.
I
Yeah,
said
like-
Sebastian was the mole.
Yes.
Yes.
But I just
Well.
wanted to make sure that everybody who can't see it
Yeah,
knows
motioning
that he pulled out this big
iPhone.
iPhone,
I pull out
this giant iPhone, then started typing like a typewriter.
It's my hipster typewriter. I use it at the Starbucks to write my
It's
scripts
the
because people need to
iPhone-
know that I'm a writer, and it's the only way I can ensure. that
iPhone
people know that.
25. It's Sebastian's got the first one.
So what do we think of Doug Liman as the director?
I love Doug Liman.
Yeah,
Neutral
His stuff's fantastic.
and it's not a bad neutral. It's like I'm sure he'll do fine.
I mean, obviously, he's in case you don't know who he is, he directed Edge of Tomorrow, The Bourne Identity,
the
Bourne
big thing is
Ultimatum,
Bourne.
the Bourne trilogy.
Doug Liman. No, he didn't do the whole trilogy.
Well, he did the first. Didn't he? He did the first 3 films.
No, Greengrass did the film. The first
No,
film.
he did the first 3 films. He
For the Bourne,
directed. I have it right here. He directed.
He did
Bourne
Identity.
Bourne Supremacy, and Bourne Ultimatum.
But what people don't know is he did I Just Want My Pants Back.
What you don't remember is that Doug Liman started with
That
Go.
was a TV series.
And Go was a very different film. So when he did Bourne Identity, when we did Bourne, everyone was like, huh?
And he did the TV show for Knight Rider.
He did Jumper, and actually, you know what? He's
the
I think
producer on
he
Jumper, isn't he?
produced. He's executive producer on Edge of Tomorrow.
He should be the director of Edge of Tomorrow also.
He's also, I think,
because he's doing a Tom Cruise film
he's the
right
director
now.
of Edge of
and he's
Tomorrow.
supposed to be doing Edge of Tomorrow 2, which I don't know how you make a sequel to that film.
Not only how you make a sequel, but how it made the money to justify how the money it made justified a sequel, and that's not that speaks nothing to the quality of the movie, which
That
is
film
fantastic.
is fantastic.
But
I love that
how?
movie.
Like
That movie is shockingly funny too.
Yes, but he was also the executive producer on the Knight Rider remake.
Oh boy. Well, it's like great director James Cameron, director of Piranha 2.
And actually, to correct myself, the Bourne Supremacy, the whole Bourne trilogy, the original Bourne trilogy, he was only executive producer on. He didn't direct them.
Yeah, so I was gonna say.
Right.
I'm neutral.
No,
but
he directed the Bourne Identity. He did not direct the other two.
Oh, you're correct. He did
Yes,
direct.
He did the
Bourne
first
Identity.
one, and
Yes.
then he was the
He
executive
produced
producer
Of course, then he directed the OC.
because Paul Greengrass did Ultimatum and Supremacy.
Oh, I forgot he directed Swingers. That was such a good movie. And he directed Mr. and Mrs. Jones, The Heist, and
He's got hits and misses.
Fair Game.
Yeah, but he's someone who's done this.
But he's
type
done
of
really
film
good
before,
movies.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm not.
He's
I'm-
directing Splinter Cell, the movie.
So it's going to be terrible. Okay.
I didn't realize Splinter Cell, the movie, was even coming out. It's pretty.
Well, I'm sure somebody optioned it, and he's attached to direct. But it's one of those things where it's like you'll either get made or not made. I'll believe it. When
It's
like all
slated for
video games.
2017. Tom Hardy's starring.
So it's still going to be terrible though. It's a video game movie. They
And
don't-
Frank John Hughes. Wow,
Yeah,
Frank
that guy.
John Hughes is also.
Well, good for all of them. It's not going to be good though. It's a
He's
video
writing
game
it.
movie. Video game movies
Well,
always
that's
come out bad.
to go completely off on a tangent. Has there ever been a video game movie that's good?
Um,
No. And I say like there are varying levels of bad.
Resident Evil.
I don't think. No.
No.
But it's also because video games are a different kind of experience, and the translation from game to movie is very hard because games, while they have a linear story, they also have many tracks to get through a linear story, and the movie sort of takes out that fun element.
Speaking of video game movies, Super Mario Brothers was on
That is an amazing but
Discovery
horrible
Channel or
movie.
something. I forgot how bad.
It's
Oh, that movie's terrible.
It's horrible, but there are so many people that are that were like
Oh, there's
stars of the time
Some
in there.
great actors in that movie. Just a movie that is
It's so bad. It had
awful.
nothing to do with the video game at all.
No, but then every video game movie has nothing to do with the video games. They just completely.
Prince of Persia was okay to me.
Oh, Prince
Oh
of
my
Persia was
God.
terrible.
My God, man, no.
There's only one good thing in Prince of Persia, and it's the woman.
the
It's the
woman.
end credits. I'm sorry. The
I don't know.
end credits in that movie.
There was
Also, why is her name completely escape me?
there was a
Who was the female lead in that film?
isn't it?
Oh my God, it absolutely kills me. Oh, it's Gemma Arterton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The reason why there's no Halo movie is because of every failure of a film that video game movies end up being.
I was trying to think. I thought there was a movie that
Doom.
Doom was bad.
Tomb Raider, both of them.
Tomb
awful.
Raider, the first one was
Tomb Raider was terrible.
that was probably the closest thing to being
You liked it because it was Angelina Jolie.
hot Angelina Jolie.
Well, I think because the problem in a lot of those is, like he was saying, you almost want to try and make it a video game, but you can't. You have
Well,
to
that's
take
what
that,
Doom tried to do.
Yeah, no.
And the stories are so like in video games. There is.
I mean, honestly, you can do Halo as just a sci-fi film, but you're gonna get a lot of video games like there's not enough stuff from the video game in it. I don't know why it's not there.
And it's also like for like so many like the reasons why they even stopped doing Halo, like or at least making things like it's like, well, we want to use the Master Chief, but we were gonna cast A-list actor number 57.
Who wants to take the helmet
and
off?
he
the
needs
whole
his
time.
helmet off, and he needs to say more than 3 lines of dialogue because in the video games,
finish the fight.
he says
Could you-
almost nothing.
Where's my
Could you make a Halo movie with Master Chief,
No.
staying true to
No.
Master Chief, but
No.
having the supporting cast?
No, he would have to. He would have to be the supporting cast.
Yeah, I
You
guess.
would have to have somebody else as the main character, and they did that when they did like their Forward Unto Dawn series, where he shows up, he says one line, and then he disappears.
You could have. You could have.
because if you were to make a Halo movie, you'd have to make it like in the Halo universe,
Right. You
and no
couldn't
one's going to
do-
accept it if it's not Master
so you
Chief.
could have. You could have
Right.
Scarlett Johansson being Cortana. So you have. You see her all the
no,
time.
She would not make a good Cortana, and that's
I'm just throwing.
just
out a
because she
name.
would be CG, and they could just use the model from the game. And the fact that you've said that, failure. You've got F. You've got an F- on that. That's
got
the
F.
that's boom.
That's Sebastian's new film. You've
I
got
will
F.
say though, the trailer for Halo 5 is the closest thing to something I would have wanted to see in a movie.
So that's the thing
Halo
is you
4
have
trailer was great.
But then you pick
All
up
those
the video
Halos are
game
super.
and you get to sort of make your own experience. And again, that's the for me that's
that's
that
the point of having a
crux
video game.
of a
Speaking
video
of which,
game.
have you seen the live action Battlefront the trailer?
That's hilarious. The one
Oh,
for the
that's-
PlayStation 4.
The
and
one-
the
yeah.
guy has the amazing Biggs mustache. In the
Yeah,
X-Wing
and they've
Starfighter.
used the
Oh,
helmet.
you mean the commercial?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
It's,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
the PlayStation 4 commercial.
I
That
thought
is,
you said trailer. I'm like,
yeah,
I
they-
meant, oh, man.
no.
yeah, it's a PlayStation.
No,
4
the commercial that one. What was it?
I
Halo
cried.
3 that they had the model or whatever. It's like the idea of the commercials was it was set in a museum for what had
Yeah.
happened.
Oh, yeah.
That was
Those were amazing. Was it 4?
Yeah.
Whatever.
No,
it
that
was.
was Halo.
No, that was 3. That was 3.
Because they sort of play off the idea that the chief is dead because at the end of the game he disappears.
Right, that's it. He
It's-
disappears
it's-
at the end of 3.
No, but in the in-universe commercial is the chief has disappeared and he's dead, which is why
Yeah,
there's
I
a
think,
museum.
I
to
think
him.
it's 3.
I
yeah.
thought it was a 4.
It is
No,
Halo
I think
3.
it's 3. But yeah, well, that's the thing is like you can have these little spots that are really cool and they
Yeah.
work out, but when you try to do it as a big motion picture, it just doesn't work.
Because and again it's a
So we were
movie.
talking about Gambit.
Yeah, Gambit.
Yes, Gambit.
Well, because Gambit has already actually lost his director. I didn't even realize that there was someone attached to it. Rupert Wyatt, who did Planet of the Apes and something called The Gambler, exited. The thing with Doug Liman is the fact that so many of his films go to massive reshoots and re-edits.
That's true.
His Bourne movie was reshot. Mr. and Mrs. Smith was reshot. Jumper had to replace its lead actor after it was weeks into the shoot. And then I mentioned that one of his first films was the small
Wasn't
scale.
Hayden Christensen in there?
Yeah.
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 But he wasn't the first actor to do it. As I remember with Go, and Go's a film that follows all these different lines. They cut the living hell out of it,
Right.
In after it was already made. They well, here's the lock. No. So with him having a busy schedule, I don't know if they're going to allow himself that much time to be able to redo it. And if he doesn't have the kind of control he seems to have on a lot of other films,
I think
who knows?
I think they may wait to see how Deadpool does before they press further into production.
Oh yeah,
than
this
they are.
Deadpool movie.
Oh, yeah,
Which-
that's
which-
February.
Hopefully, will be entertaining to say.
Such an odd month.
Yeah.
I know, right?
We saw some trailer in front of.
Well, they had to. I think the reason why they're not pushing for summer is it's a movie that to get made they had to negotiate a lower budget, specifically to get Fox to do the okay on it.
Yeah.
So it's one of those movies that Fox doesn't trust it, but they're like, we can do this. Here's how much we want to do this movie. We'll cut out something like $30 million from the budget.
I think it's you said it right there. Fox doesn't trust it. I think Ryan Reynolds he was the one who pushed this film to be made. Fox is like,
Right.
they've been burned so many times on their
Right,
on
and
films.
they pulled like what
What's
they
the
did for
thing?
Iron
What have they
Man.
been burned on?
Fantastic Four.
Okay, that's
3
it.
times.
That's their fault.
Yeah,
X-Men Last
that's
Stand.
it.
That's their fault.
X-Men
Granted-
Last Stand made money. X-Men Last Stand
Granted,
made more
now
money
last-
than X2.
Wolverine Origins.
Wolverine made a ton of money.
again, and it's critical failures versus monetary failures.
So bad in their failures that Marvel's actually picked it back up. New movies coming out in 2020.
No, both Fox and Marvel have said that's not true.
Yeah, we'll see. They said
Yeah.
that the Sony thing
That
wasn't true
thing's-
for a long
right.
time too.
I think they're waiting.
Right, but it's Sony. Fox's failure on Fantastic Four was hiring what's his name?
Josh Trank.
Josh Trank to direct a man who made one movie and basically followed the script that was written for him to the letter.
Yeah, but the cast and everybody. I mean, that
Right,
whole
that-
thing was just it was.
He wasn't ready to do a film of that size.
Right.
You can't. I mean,
Yeah, that's true.
as much as you want to do that, to give a film like that to somebody who's hot indie
And he
and
already
different,
made his
you
FF
have
movie
to
with
have
Chronicle.
Yeah, well, you have to have a huge support system, and I don't think he reacted well to a support system. I think he wanted to do everything, and then realized I can't do everything, so I'm not going to do anything.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm going
So-
to lock myself in the home I rented out and have,
have
my
my
dogs
dogs poop
piss
all
and
over the
shit
place.
all over it.
and then I'm going to disappear. Yeah, I'm
And
going
I'm going to disappear. And
I'm
people
going
are
to
gonna
yell
have
at the cast.
People are
and-
going to have to shoot this movie without me, and they'll have to.
I think the most interesting thing you're ever going to get from this is at some point someone's going to do like a tell-all book, like how the Fantastic Four film failed on every level, and finally get a couple of years from now where they do that interview with Kate Mara, and she goes, "Oh yeah, I hate that son of a bitch."
Well,
even
she'll
the
be the
guy
one that
who-
does the tell-all book.
Well, the guy who played Mr. Fantastic right away was like he was a terror to work with.
Yeah.
It's no surprise this movie came out how because he can blame the studio all he wants, but that's all him.
Interesting to see if that guy ever gets a job again.
Well, it's like
Oh, he will.
Someone
Somebody
recently retold me the story of what happened to the movie, the the Island of Dr. Moreau, the Marlon Brando one, the director, had
that-
been
Oh,
working,
yeah.
he worked on that movie for
That
decades.
was a bizarre
And
story,
then
and then disappeared.
And then
Yeah.
they fired him and they made him sign a contract saying he couldn't come within 150 yards of production. They paid him his severance, and because he was so crushed that the movie that was his baby got taken away and ended up the way it did, he started living in Australia on one of the islands, living with a farmer, and how they, like, two people working on the movie found him on accident fishing, and they said, you gotta see this wreck of a movie. So they dressed him up like one of the animal human hybrids and put him in the movie as one of the extras, and nobody noticed.
That's awesome.
Just so
I
how-
didn't hear that part of it.
So he could.
Oh yeah, no, he was. They had an Entertainment Weekly story. It was amazing. Here's the thing: I don't think Josh Trank's going to be hired anytime soon. Because
No.
if
he got
you're
fired
nuts,
off of Star Wars because of
if
Fantastic
you're
Four.
nuts but you're successful, they'll let you be nuts.
Right.
When
Yes.
you're nuts and nothing you've done has made any money, and you lost. If someone at Sony goes, "Hey, should we hire Josh Trank?" Someone at Fox will call Sony and say, "He cost us $300 million. We lost a lot of money on this film. There's no reason. There's no way. I don't think anyone's going to hire him."
fired. Here's why
He got
he's gonna-
fired from Star Wars a week after they announced he was on the movie, and the movie and Fantastic Four didn't even come out. That's how bad his reputation was right away.
But here's
somebody
where-
went.
You don't wanna do this.
Before you put him on Star Wars, let's tell you the story of Fantastic Four, and then boom, gone.
But
He's
here's
gonna-
why I
he's
think
gonna
that-
have to-
Here,
he's gonna
here's
have
why
to
I think
finance
that
his
he
own
might. Either he'll finance his own film, or he'll end up doing some independent producer will hire him, and if he does a good job on that, and it not necessarily makes money, but it's a decent film or a good film.
What if he directs the making of Fantastic Four, the movie?
That would be awesome.
It's just a movie about how hard it was, and he's just like perfect in it. He's just real, like they cast Brad Pitt to play him.
I think they'll make their money on the box set by throwing his movie into a triple feature with the other two Fantastic Fours.
The app just updated.
Yeah, it's just
Okay, so Supergirl. Next it premieres
Segue.
next week. Premieres next Monday.
Josh Trank is directing Supergirl.
After seeing
And
the
Channing
picture, of,
Tatum is Supergirl.
after seeing the picture of Red Tornado for Supergirl, I wouldn't doubt that Josh Trank is directing Supergirl.
But here's my question though: a 90-minute premiere. We already know that back when they showed the first trailer, back April, May, something, June, maybe whatever it was, the whole pilot got leaked.
Yeah.
All 60 minutes of it.
Right.
Do you think they went back to put in the extra 90 or the extra 30 minutes because it already got leaked? So many people did see it. This is a way to get those people to come back and watch it again.
I'm intrigued. The show is supposed to be an hour long.
Mm-hmm.
30 minutes sounds about right for a regular television show airing on network TV now.
Except for usually
Usually
the
it's a
dramas
little bit
and
more-
things like that.
Yeah, but I mean because you have to include commercials on it because
Right.
there's going to be about 15 minutes, 20 minutes of commercials spread out.
it'll
in that.
be about a 52-minute show.
Yeah,
which is usually what it is.
yeah. So my suspicion is that the actual episode 2 got cut into this. I mean, I can't say for certain, but that's what that sounds like. Is that the 60-minute premiere was supposed to be like 60 minutes, and then
Right.
that would have been stretched out to like an hour 15 with commercials.
Yeah.
And that this kind of sounds like episode 2 is now put into episode 1.
But do you
to
think
air.
it's more so that they're doing this to get more of a hype since they did get leaked? And I mean, it got leaked, and a majority of people saw it. I mean, if you wanted to see it, you could see it.
I saw part of it and then I
Yeah.
stopped because I just wasn't interested. And that's not that's not like I saw the show and went, ugh. I just saw the show and went like, all right,
She doesn't have a
whatever.
goatee.
Doesn't have a goatee. No.
Or
No,
does she?
No, she doesn't.
I just saw I saw maybe 15, 20 minutes of it, and then I kind of went, all right. I kind of get what the show's doing, whatever. And I just like, all right, I'm done.
Ethan, wait till they do the shower scene, then decide if she has a goatee or not.
I didn't care for the again for me, and it's one of those things like it looks like Ally McBeal all over again.
It does.
It's got that.
Yeah, that was the problem with that first trailer. I was like,
Yeah, and it will
this
even
looks like every other.
It felt like that the Wonder Woman all over again, where it's like, oh, really, need to know, it's like, oh, look at me working for a newspaper as an intern, getting paid $70,000 a year. Look at my massive apartment, all my problems, and I have to be a superhero. What?
It's like watching Friends all over again. They're young, good looking, and somehow have an apartment that they can afford.
It was rent
Monica,
controlled.
It doesn't matter whether it's rent controlled or not. She's unemployed, and the other one works at a fucking coffee house. You do not afford an apartment anywhere
they're
in New
paying
York.
the 1930s $200 a month price.
Well, it was her.
somehow.
It was Monica's aunt's apartment and everything. I'm not getting into Friends.
So she's from the 1920s. You say
They've been whoring themselves out.
Yeah,
That's
there's
it.
no rent control from 1933 that still exists.
But no, the one thing they did say about Supergirl is that they are going to have the show feel more like the Christopher Reeves Superman
Fine.
than the new,
Well, then that didn't come across as
Man
a
of
pilot
Steel.
at all. So, I mean,
Yeah.
they can say that all. Again,
Well, I hope they don't do
marketing-
the Man of Steel. That's going to be an odd show.
It's just her running through puppies and kittens for 90 minutes. Just
Running through
I have
puppies
to
and
go put out this fire. Boom, straight through an animal shelter. Just
What Man of Steel did you watch?
the Man of Steel movie where
The
he
director's cut.
flew through a Sears and probably
Okay, that,
killed
yes.
1,000 people.
Puppies and
He-
kittens.
where my favorite scene of Man of Steel where they throw a gasoline tanker at him and instead of catching it he dodges it and it blows up in the crowd of people standing behind him.
But that could have been the most chauvinistic
He's not
thing
good at his
ever.
job.
Instead of people or things like that, it's puppies and kitties because she's a girl.
So basically, J. Michael Straczynski wrote Superman Man of Steel because he has that great issue where Superman swoops into the town and says, "Don't sell the drugs in this town.
Right.
You can go sell them in the other town,
Just not this one.
just not this one."
And no, the implication was that the Man of Steel movie had Superman
No,
flying
I know.
through
I was
puppies
just-
and kittens.
I was joking, making a joke.
So, yeah, no, if they're trying to go for Christopher Reeves, that did not come across at all in that pilot.
So,
At least from
were
what
we
I
gonna talk
saw,
about?
I mean, I can't vouch for everything, but I go like, really? That sounds like marketing buzz, not what's actually.
Speaking about superhero shows or comic book shows for girls, Why the Last Man is going to be on FX
So it's Four
How's
Girls
that
is just
gr-
going to have
Four
a lot of
girls?
girls.
because,
Yeah, well, I don't know how
Okay,
that's for
well-
girls. It's
as Chris will tell you, one of the books, if a girl asks if she wants to read a comic book, you give her Why the Last Man, you
Not
give
a-
her Fables.
No, it's not a girl. Anybody.
Anybody.
asks for it,
Well, that's
yeah.
true. I mean, it's a good comic book.
Look at Why
it's a
the
great
Last Man.
comic book.
The best thing that I saw for it, I don't remember who tweeted it, but someone said, "Let's see how Hollywood figures out how to shove a whole bunch of white 30-something males into this series." Yeah, Why the Last Man is actually got the
I'm glad to see
option
this.
for
for
FX.
FX. And I mean, FX does great stuff. They've
Well, I'm just glad
consistently
Brian
good-
K. Vaughan finally figured out something that he could sell.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because I remember.
Well, all of his
the-
other projects, he hasn't sold any of.
The only thing I'm afraid of is that it'll just become another police procedural like every DC Comics show out there. Gotham, The
What do you mean?
Flash.
Gotham's a comedy, isn't it?
Oh yes, it is a comedy.
Well, it's not
Well,
intentional.
Constantine
No,
was
Constantine was totally
Constantine
procedural.
Yeah.
was Monster
of the Week.
Detective.
Yeah,
Yeah.
might as well be.
The Flash is
Well,
Monster of the Week.
In
like
terms of
iZombie.
the thing with this, though,
iZombie.
the different things with this is, isn't Vertigo at least somewhat creator controlled?
Yeah, but iZombie is Vertigo, and that turned immediately into a police procedural.
Wasn't that what the book was?
No,
No, I never read that.
And, well, technically, Constantine was Vertigo, but then went to DC.
yeah, but still, it always just became a like I'm a demon detective.
I'm a
You know.
demon detective. That's what they should have called it.
Demon Detective.
Preacher is another show that I'm kind of worried like
I have
is that
no
gonna
idea
be-
how the hell they're going to do Preacher.
It's gonna
I've
be. It's
always
gonna be.
said that,
It's
like-
gonna be a demon detective show.
Is
It's
that
gonna
FX
be-
or is that
No, that's
AMC?
AMC.
Yeah.
That was the other thing, like AMC, because that book is worse than an R-rated film. I mean,
That's it'll be toned down, but I think they'll do like Walking Dead, where they'll have that happy medium.
This
FX
Rassin Frassin. Look, there's an entire issue of Preacher in which Jesse and Tulip have sex the entire issue.
right.
That's all it is they have sex, they talk for 4 panels, they have sex for 2 more panels, then they talk for a couple panels, then they have sex again. It's just like, well, they're not filming that episode anytime soon.
But FX does. I mean, they have really racy
they
stuff.
have
and
There's a
it's-
difference
the
between
Strain and
racy
then
and
Justified
in
and-
a book in which every issue features at least 45 F words. I mean, it's
Yeah,
just crazy.
it's Preacher, and Seth Rogen's working on it. So
I mean, if they do
I don't know.
the family, because Jesse's family is straight out of a horror film.
yeah,
Yeah,
they're
it's
basically
disgusting.
The Hills Have Eyes.
Yeah, the flashbacks to his family life is like stomach churning. In
So what
comic
you're
book
saying is,
form.
There's
HBO
gonna be-
should have picked this up instead.
Everyone thought it was going to be
the
HBO.
HBO. That's where they
But
originally.
I
filmed
think
it.
the problem is HBO looks at it and says we can't do just 6 episodes every 3 years to do this. It
Right.
just-
right.
You know, and also it can be a cheaper show, which is kind of why I thought HBO might eventually pick it up.
But do you think HBO spends the majority of their money now on Game of Thrones?
HBO only spent its money on Game of Thrones because it's
It's
some
the
of
biggest
most
rated
expensive
show that
thing.
they've had, and then
Yeah.
they've got Westworld coming out next year. But again, that's a mini series as of right now. Now,
And even then, with Game of Thrones, as highly rated as it is, the other thing with it is it's not as rated as everybody thinks it is because it gets the most pirated show in the entire
Yes.
world.
That is true. That's very
So
true.
I got for me, my nightmare scenario for Why the Last Man, which I'm excited for because I love that book, is every week's like, oh, the men are dead. How do you think he died? And then it's it's like, well, he was stabbed by a knife. The disease made this man crazy, and that's the entire show every week. Is
No,
figure-
my
do you
theory
think the
is
audience
all the
will
men,
get
all the
tired
men,
of it?
if they do the show like the book, no, it's a really interesting premise to see the world fall apart, and it has that you can do sort of that Walking Dead, like it's the post-apocalypse,
Right.
Just to point
half
out,
the planet is
Sebastian
gone.
just said that if women were running the world, it would fall apart.
I
Thank you,
think
T.I.
Brian
Wait.
K. Vaughan said that when he wrote the book.
This is Sebastian's very sexist tonight. It's because Shauna's not
What did
here. He
I
hasn't-
say that was sexist?
Well,
Women can't run
puppies
the
and-
world. It's like you and Ti. That's it. Both you and Ti just hate women. My nightmare scenario is all the men died except these 10,
Right.
and then it just becomes the there's a guy here, and then they try to find the next man, and
Right.
they try to find the next man.
Well, it's like the Last Man on Earth show. You
Yeah.
thought it was going to be literally something about the last man on Earth, but
Right,
then
and
all of a
then
sudden they started
6 other
introducing
people
6
showed
other
up.
It has
people.
it in the title.
I know, but then why would you introduce? 6
Especially
other
since
people?
season 1 was pretty much all just him by himself, and I'm sure they're like,
Yeah,
oh,
it was
that's
just
it.
him,
That's
and,
all
him
the
and the
stories.
girl, and that was it.
They went. We
Well,
can't
that's
do
the
this.
problem is if you have a concept like this and you don't stick to it, and you're trying to find something, then you're in Battlestar Galactica territory from the 80s of like, well, they're searching for Earth, so every third episode is about finding something
That's
that
like
looks
Earth.
like it's Earth, and then they get to it like, nope, it's not Earth, and that's kind of the thing here is.
Well, that got squirrely because they ended up going back in time to find Earth, and
I just remember Ice Planet Zero.
Yeah.
Because why spends a lot of time before what is the astronauts? I think is the one where when you finally find out there's another human being, there's another male that's still
Yeah,
alive.
because he was on the space station.
Yeah. Space station.
So, I mean, if
Plus, the most important thing though is who do they cast as the monkey?
CG Monkey.
CG Monkey.
CG Monkey.
Why are we going to do? We're going to do Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Yeah, it's going to be CG Monkey.
Well, that fails.
Well,
Next.
I hope
the
it- I
bear's
mean-
probably dead.
I'm super stoked. It's FX. I mean, they're doing The Strain. They did Justified. They did Sons of Anarchy. They can do a show like this.
Who's Krusty's monkey? They should get him.
Bobo?
No, they should get
Is
the
it Bobo?
bear.
Mr.
no, is it
Mr.
Tiny?
Mr. Tiny. Yeah, I think.
Mr.
No,
Teeny.
Sounds
Mr.
about-
Teeny. That's what it
Mr.
is.
Teeny. I was
There you
thinking
go.
Furious George, but that's Mr. Burns' monkey.
Furious. No, they should get the monkey from BJ and the
Furious
Bear.
George one is so good when they're knife fighting. They
Furious
call him
George.
Furious George. Oh,
What
he
have
ain't gonna
they
be pretty
done
no
to you?
more. They call him Furious George. For some reason, while I'm driving home, I thought of where Homer tries to buy that little car. It's made in country no longer exists anymore, and he gets in it and it starts to fail. Put it in H.
Takes 1 canteen of kerosene
per milliliter
per hectare.
per hectare. It's made in country that no longer exists. Put it in H.
Put it in H. Oh my god. Yeah, I think
And
they
if
can
you
do
find a way to use that line.
Put it in H.
Yeah, I did it to Mikey once because he missed it, hit it in neutral, like, put it in H! And we nearly died.
it. You need to
because
load
he
up
nearly
on
ran off
more
the road.
kerosene. I think they could do. I think FX can do it.
Yeah.
They're doing. I mean, like The Strain is really, really good. It's kind of cheesy, but it's really good, and I think they can match the tone of the book.
Well, they have the Bastard Executioner,
Yeah, I don't.
and that one's pretty brutal.
Yeah, my big fear is it ends up being another DC police procedural. That's my big thing. Otherwise, I think it's gonna be awesome because the book is really good.
I like the
There's
book.
a
Well, if
lot
it's not
you
on
can
network
do.
TV,
I mean,
too.
all
I mean,
the-
everything that you mentioned is a network TV
Yes.
show. So
Yeah.
it
That
lends
is true.
itself to that because
It's
network TV
cheaper to
still believes that
produce.
people won't watch shows from week to week.
Right.
Despite what Walking Dead and Sands of Anarchy and Justified and all these other shows have proven.
Yeah.
So when you're like, no, the Lost model doesn't work. Nobody
Right.
watched that show all the way through because,
Some people stop paying attention. But yeah, I'm super stoked. It's Why the Last Man. It's gonna be. I mean, it's a book that lends itself to having like even if they don't like, I doubt they're gonna do like shot for shot, page for page. But it's a book
God, I
that
hope not.
it lends itself to really, really awesome potentials because the book carries so much. Like, what does happen to a government when half the population disappears? That's a spooky thought. Planes drop out of the sky.
Right.
Just a lot of male-dominated jobs. There's like that great moment. I think it's like in issue 1 or 2 where it's paramedics. Like her partner, basically drops dead in the middle of helping somebody else. Police officers just crashing head on to other oncoming cars. And he did a really good job sort of setting up like that apocalyptic scenario. And it's
They changed the name to The Walking Why the Last Man.
Well, look, here's the thing.
You've
In a
got like great
world.
potential with the Amazon tribe, who they become like that crazy cult where they want to kill Yorick because they feel like no, this is the apocalypse,
Yorick, I knew him
and
well.
it's God's will, so we need to kill him so we can just die in peace.
So, here's the thing. Look, we are now in a era in film and television where we're wanting more women to dominate the screen. And this is a perfect opportunity for that.
Yeah.
No, I love the comic. It's one of the first comics that really got me into reading comic books. I remember I picked up the first trade like shortly after I picked up Walking Dead's compendium, and from then on I've been reading it, and
Do you think you did wait for Walking Dead's third compendium? Because it just came out. So, speaking of comic books, Marvel is very super late on their new
Release dates don't mean anything to Marvel anymore. Well, they pushed back Uncanny X-Men 600, which was supposed to come out before the end of Secret Wars.
Wasn't Mark Waid writing the Avengers?
He is. He's
Oh.
writing the Avengers book, and
Still.
it's late.
Yeah.
Uncanny X-Men, the new Uncanny X-Men book got pushed out of the entire year. It's in
Yep.
January. Extraordinary X-Men will be the only X book that gets released in October. The other, I can't remember the all new.
Well, Bendis
X-Men.
can't write 10 books at a time.
do you
Man
think-
has limits.
Well, he's not writing the X-Men books.
Oh, that's right. He's done.
Do you
No,
think
he's
some
only
of
writing-
those got pushed back because Secret Wars is taking so
No,
long?
they got pushed back because they're not done.
That's
This is they compress their time because here's the thing: what happened with Marvel now, the original Marvel relaunching everything that they can, is they gave those guys so much lead time that even an artist like Jerome Pena, who has trouble doing a monthly book, did the first 6 issues of Avengers, and they came out in the course of about 13 weeks.
Right.
Because Avengers 1 came out, 2 weeks later you got Avengers 2, 2 weeks later you got 3, then you got 4 the next week, and then 5 2 weeks later, and 6 2 weeks later. We're seeing this with the new, all different, all nowness. Amazing Spider-Man 2 and Invincible Iron Man number 2 come out on Wednesday, 2 weeks after the premiere.
Wow, really?
Yep. And there's only, and I think part of the reason they may have moved those up is because there's only
To fill the
fill the gap.
holes.
well, there's only 3 number 1s this week instead of. I mean, you're talking about launching 30 titles in the course of 3 months. You have 5 or 6 titles every week
Yeah.
as new number 1s, and they're already
I got to get in and get my books.
Yeah,
I'm
you
so far behind.
You should probably make that a part of
some sort of weekly routine.
Yeah.
I think I'm just going to give Chris my credit card number for the shop and just have him bring my books on Saturday when he comes.
Yeah, he's gonna be paying
Could
for
do
my
that.
books too.
No.
Why do my books cost me $200?
So,
you know what does come in tomorrow or Wednesday? Batman animated Batmobile.
That looks so good.
didn't you order that, Ethan?
No, I was the only one that was stupid enough to order it.
No, I couldn't justify the $100 price tag. Plus, I haven't picked up any of the figures yet.
Oh.
So
Are
finally
we
got a
not going to
second
talk
one.
about Captain America taking on the GOP?
no. Next.
I read that book and I still don't understand what they're talking about.
Yeah, I did the same, and it was a fun issue, but it's also one of those things like, what are they talking about? Maybe I'm just dense.
Yeah, they're reaching. I mean, there was.
Yeah, it was
it's the same
complete-
when they had the Cap and Falcon issues. And
I also feel like
that-
they're really late to the game too.
Yes.
Like,
well, that
he's
no,
been
but
Cap for
here's
like
the thing:
6 months.
Cap when they did Cap and Falcon in the regular Captain America series years ago,
Yeah.
after McNiven's run or whatever, they take on a group that is basically the Tea Party,
Right.
and it's just right out there, and that was, I mean, that if anybody wants to say anything about it, that was the point where they're like, hey, you're just outright saying anyone who votes Republican is an evil human being and should not read our comics anymore. You'd also say that if you're talking to Axel Alonso, but whatever. I read the issue Saturday or Friday. I don't remember that being in there.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if they're trying to say that that's what Shield is, because Shield basically kicks him out
Right.
for something he says that's
that is
not even anti-American, really.
I don't. He just seemed to question Shield.
Yeah, it was something that, I mean, I don't know. It just, I didn't understand it.
I read it and I didn't like. I read it and was like, oh, okay, whatever, cool.
Yeah.
Because even the previous run on Captain America with him was pretty all right. I mean, I felt the writing in general could have been stronger.
Well, the problem with that is it got all wrapped up in Axis. Too.
Yeah, it did get wrapped up in Axis.
It's like what happened to
which
Superior
did hurt
Spider-Man.
the book.
I'm still wondering if they're even going to release a trade for Superior Iron Man. Like, we're not exactly sure what the hell we were doing here when we made Tony into a bad guy again for
Right.
some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah,
Because Cap was the Cap book. Sam Wilson,
Superior
Captain
Spider-Man or
America.
Superior Iron Man?
Superior Iron Man. Superior Iron
He
Man.
was the
said
bad
Superior
guy at the
Spider-Man.
beginning of the
No,
book.
Superior Iron Man.
Right.
That's what I said. Was that 5-issue run was him after he had been flipped in Axis
Right.
and didn't get flipped back. Cap was the same problem. Cap number one
We're
is
like-
he's
yeah, 'cause-
flipped.
Yeah, he was
He's
kind
the
of a, he was
he's kicking
kind
the
of a
Avengers
dick.
out of the tower,
Yeah.
and he's a jerk. And then Cap 2, everything's fine.
Right.
I mean, it was weird because I read both those issues and like this makes no sense.
Right, yeah,
because
because immediately I was like, oh,
was-
because
yeah.
Sam Wilson in some of the other books he was in was the normal Sam Wilson, but in his
it
book
was supposed to be
specifically,
it was
past
post Axis,
but he was still kind of a dick and was like, why is this makes no sense from what I just read in this other book?
And the problem with Axis is you read the whole thing and go, oh,
They're
so
all
they just
mind swapped.
well, that's you read it and go, why did they mind swap? Oh, just so they can make Sabretooth a good guy again. There
And
it is.
kill Carnage again.
Yeah, but yeah, I read the issue Thursday, Friday maybe, and I just was like, oh, okay, cool, whatever, and I put it down.
I didn't hate it. I didn't love it.
Yeah, and it just popped up on my feed like it's like Captain America, you know.
I mean, so far
gives
out
the
of,
left hook to conservatives. I was like, wait, what?
out of what's out, New Avengers. I like the idea of New Avengers with DaCosta owning buying AIM, and making the Avengers idea mechanics.
Right.
And that Shield is being this watchdog company, and who he's facing is cool.
It was cool. Like
Iron Man was
weird
good.
elements.
Uncanny Avengers was okay. It's a Deadpool book, which drives me crazy.
Well, here's the funniest thing about the whole Captain America GOP thing. Today, I saw on my feed for Facebook, Anthony Mackie came out saying that he would like to run Donald Trump's campaign, which was kind of like, you know, because he is the Falcon.
He seems
which,
down to earth.
yeah. I just thought, because it was funny because both of those came up in my feed at the exact same time, and I thought, well, this is just kind of odd because, you know.
Yeah, I maybe have to reread it and maybe.
Well, we know one person who didn't read it.
Ethan?
No, you.
I haven't gotten my books.
No, you'd refuse to read it.
Oh, shut up. He's trying to say because I
Are you a conservative?
no, he thinks I'm racist towards.
No, he was actually going for the conservative thing.
No, I was doing the racist.
No, he was going at the racist
That's
thing.
one of the,
I
that's
I
one
don't
of the
like
best episodes we did.
I don't like Falcon as Cap because it's already been done. Bucky was Cap, you know, so we don't need to keep
And I
making
said,
other people Cap.
if you don't like rereading the same stories over and over again,
If you
stop
say that,
reading
if you
comics.
said that on Twitter, I'm sure they'd call you a racist.
Yeah.
But
Good,
I-
fine.
no,
the
whole
episode's
episode-
actually called "I'm Not a Racist."
Yeah,
If you listen to it, I mean, it's.
beginning to end.
I was pretty proud of myself. It was just boom, right in
Relentless.
there.
It was relentless.
But it's just the whole bringing it to it, where it's like, oh, I loved it when it was Bucky, and I was like, okay, so you enjoyed Bucky as Cap, yeah. So what's the difference between when Bucky took over and when Cap and when Sam Wilson takes over? And he's just like, well, it's already been done before. Like it'd been done before Bucky had done it too.
Right.
Nomad's been Cap.
U.S.
A U.S. agent's been Cap. I said, so the only difference.
Yeah, but the U.S.
Is that
agent
Sam
was
Wilson
Cap
is
before
black.
he was U.S. agent.
I'm just saying, there's people who's taken over for Cap before anyway. So,
Well,
So anyway,
It's like the freak out with Jane Foster becoming Thor. It's like tons of other people have been Thor. Who cares?
Yeah.
Just have fun with the book.
well, that I don't mind. If you're going to make a girl be Thor, she's the
he's
only
not
person.
sexist. He's just racist.
Oh,
No,
so
she's the only
there's
person.
suddenly a difference there. Where
if
it's
she
like,
was,
oh, no,
if she was
there's
a
been
black
frog,
woman holding,
there's been
the
a
hammer.
frog and a
She's
horse
the
monster from
only
space.
person that makes sense to be the female.
Falcon
Thor.
was Cap's partner for decades.
Look, if they hadn't done it with Bucky, I
Bucky
would've
was
said, this
his
is
partner
fine.
for like 10 minutes.
I think
then
it's
he
basically.
blew him up.
I think it's basically because I don't like old man Cap.
Well, fair enough. Say you don't like Old Man Cap, but if anybody's going to be
But that
Captain
wasn't the
America,
point.
Sam
I
Wilson
get
is
that.
obviously
he's
I
the
just-
most. Yes.
I made the same argument. That out of who's left, he's the most obvious
He's the
person
most
to have the
obvious
shield.
choice.
I'm more upset with the idea of him being
It's
at
not like they
odds
made-
with Steve Rogers now.
Yeah.
That's the problem I have. I was like, look, this is. I thought the characterization of Steve in this was much too heavy-handed
Yeah.
to basically where he was before.
I mean, if they had made Nick Fury Cap, I'd be like, yeah, I understand why that doesn't make sense, because Nick Fury is a guy who will do anything to get the job done. You know,
Yeah,
ethics.
Cap would just drop the
Yeah,
Nick Fury
ethics-
Cap would drop the shield and start machine gunning
Which
everybody.
Nick Fury?
the real Nick Fury.
Okay.
Nick Fury, the
White
classic
power,
Nick
white
Fury.
power, Nick Fury.
Yes.
Is that why Rich asked?
Yeah,
Well, it would depend, because if it was like
Well,
if
he's
it
dead.
was Ultimate Nick Fury, I would be like, yeah, I could see Ultimate Nick Fury compromising and becoming a good Captain America. I couldn't see James Bond Nick Fury, you know, the Nick Fury that Steranko wrote as Cap. He would just
Yes.
like, what? No, I could even see Nick Fury Jr. becoming Cap. Because again, he's a character who knows how to compromise, but classic Nick Fury,
yeah.
he's not a guy who would do it. And that would be the upsetting, like, I don't
Yeah.
believe it.
That's funny. Though.
Yeah, but he's dead anyway. So.
No, he's not. He's the Watcher. And even him as the Watcher is like, oh my god, what's he going to do? What are you going to meddle with, Nick?
He's just gonna watch weird people.
He can't meddle. He has to. He's just a.
Yeah, because the Watcher never met.
Yeah, because the Watcher never interfered in anything ever.
Did you read Doctor Strange?
I need to read Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange is fantastic.
So, moving on. I just lost the name.
Hideo
Hideo
Kojima,
Kojima.
the
Yeah.
greatest video game creator in the history of anything ever.
Woo! Wait. What time? What? Mark that. What time is it? 105, probably about like 44 or something.
Yeah.
Sebastian likes something.
I like Falcon as Captain America.
So, anyways, so we've been gentle with this, saying that he left Konami after 3 decades.
So
there's way more to the story.
There's
than
more
that.
to the story, and there's still a lot of people don't know because nobody's saying anything. So basically, he was doing Metal Gear Solid 5, and towards the end of the game's run, just the end of production, they basically said, we're taking control of the final marketing and push and everything from you guys. And basically everyone at his company, Kojima Productions, basically had to twiddle their thumbs for like 4 months and sit around in empty offices doing nothing. They were getting paid, but they had no work because Konami basically took over the last stretch. They even pulled his name off of the box art, his production company off of the box art and all the marketing materials for the game. So basically, he was essentially fired.
Right.
And he finally just was like, all right, I'm done. Okay, whatever, goodbye. I was basically fired anyway, so I'm quitting, which is, I'm sure, what Konami was hoping for. But there's a lot going on with Konami in and of itself, because
Wasn't Konami in trouble for a while?
Konami's been in trouble on and off for a long time, but they've also, a few months ago, said Metal Gear Solid 5 would basically be their last AAA video game title, and they would basically move to mobile.
Right.
And there's rumors that they may want to strengthen their not only just their mobile divisions, but they also make like pachinko and gambling machines, which is because Konami in and of itself has its hands everywhere. They make a lot of stuff. They do software, they do hardware. And one of the rumors, which again, it's all rumors and speculation, that Japan may be becoming more lax on their gambling laws, because in Japan you can't gamble, but people play those pachinko machines for prizes and stuff. And because of that, they may want to push more of their divisions into their gambling machines, which they do make for other countries, but Japan would be huge for them. So there's a lot. There's a lot, and nobody knows for sure what happened or why exactly. All we know is Konami is pulling out of the video game space and moving their focus elsewhere, and Kojima sort of got left in the dust by them. And now he's a free agent. The rumor has it that he may be going to Microsoft to do the Silent Hills.
That would be a big
Which PT
move.
got pulled from the Sony store, the demo for the game. Even Guillermo del Toro was like, we have no idea why. They just sort of stopped everything on it. So
That would be a big move.
again, it's all rumors. All we know is that Kojima is now basically free to do what he likes, and that makes a lot of people happy because Kojima has been one of the most consistently beloved.
Well, I mean, he's an
Creator
icon in
is-
the industry.
he's not only an icon, but just like consistency. Like for a guy who's been working on, who's had his hand in sort of the Metal Gear franchise for years, Zone of the Enders, stuff like that. Like just consistent quality.
It's very rare for him not to put out a quality game.
Right. And now that he's a free agent, that's the big question. Is everybody's going, well, what's next? Because Metal Gear Solid is done
Yes.
after this, and they've said, well, if they do another Metal Gear Solid game, it'll just be a mobile game,
Right.
For PSP or for iPhone. So, yeah, it's interesting. I would love to see him try his hand at something else. A lot of people want to see him do a movie, which again would be very
That'd be
strange.
very weird, but it could work.
Could work. He's free to do what he likes now, and good for him.
Yeah.
Sort
So
of.
speaking of movies, we're going to move on real fast because we're starting to run low long. Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, released its first official trailer today.
Look good. Look good.
Yes. First official. Everything else was called a teaser. Even though that the teaser that they showed at Celebration was longer than this one. Yeah. But that was considered a teaser.
It was good. He gave you a little bit more story beats than anything else so far.
Here's what I was worried. I was worried that it was going to spoil too much because we're getting closer. All the trailers we always see spoil. To
Well,
me,
there's that shot in it where Han dies. So
the movie poster that was released yesterday or Saturday
Saturday, I think.
I think
spoils
yesterday.
more than the trailer did.
Hmm.
First of all, let's go with the trailer. Ethan, you're not a big Star Wars fan. Did you see anything in there that you liked?
Well, and it definitely looks more real, I would say, as opposed to like older Star Wars movies. It's not
In the prequel films, especially the heavy
yeah.
CG.
It was like it looked less cartoony.
See, one of the biggest problems I had with the prequels, other than the story, acting, and things like that, was that when you opened up the CG, it lost its intimacy. Everything became grander, and you lost that that intimacy that you had in the cockpits and things like that with the Star Wars universe. To me, even seeing this trailer where there are a couple shots that are grandiose, it's still there. It's just from looking at it seemed to have the intimacy that I was missing.
There's a lot of there's a lot of new practical effects. A lot of makeup effects are back. Full scale models, lots of miniatures. I'm sure a lot of that stuff's going to be augmented with CG for sure, and a lot of it is going to be just CG in general.
Right.
And to point out, especially because it's J.J. Abrams, not a single lens flare.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
I saw a couple. There's
light reflecting off things, but it's not.
But it's
like,
not like
one in the poster.
It's not like Star Wars Star Trek where
right the center of the poster.
Yeah, no, it's not like
There's a lens
it's
flare.
not like the line of lens flare like the.
yeah, there's not
like
the,
Well,
there's
no,
not
he-
the concentric circles. That
But
keep
like he
going.
said with Star Trek, that was more of a stylistic choice.
Right.
it is, but it's also something
the-
that he
Yeah, he
like
does all the
there's
time.
moments in those like Super 8 has it too where it's like what's happening? Ah, my eyes.
But I do want to say something that I just saw because now all these sites are like posting things that people are saying about Star Wars. So I thought this was pretty funny. Making Star Wars fans watch Monday Night Football to see a new trailer is like making football fans watch Episode 1 to see the Super Bowl.
That's about right.
Yeah. You saw the meme that I sent you, right? It was Obi-Wan Kenobi, and it says I feel a disturbance in the Force. Millions of Star Wars fans, or millions of nerds have to watch Monday Night Football in order to see Star Wars trailer.
It was like millions of nerds will have to watch football for the very first time.
Yeah,
Well, also, I mean, it's also, I was looking through Facebook and it's Fandango's site crashed because of how many
ticket
people were
sales.
trying to pre-order.
The first night ticket sales, first of all, Europe, their sites all crashed today because people were going on it assuming that they were going to be able to order tickets.
Because it wasn't worldwide pre-order for tickets. It was just, I think, U.S. Right?
Correct. The
Please buy tickets now.
United States earlier today almost crashed because people were going to it until they said that it doesn't begin until the football game begins.
Right.
And 15 when I got a text message from Fandango saying They're now on sale. 15 minutes later, the first night was completely sold out.
Well, for sites that deal with Fandango, it's not like every theater's already
Well,
sold
even
out.
like Movie Co. that was here didn't start their pre-orders, if you will, for tickets until probably 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock. I think I got an email, that said that now they're doing tickets, but all those were selling out.
So now here's the question: are you going to see Star Wars more times than you saw Guardians of the Galaxy?
He can't see anything more than he saw Guardians. He's going to be watching Guardians of the Galaxy on his phone while Star Wars is on the big screen.
It depends. If Luke Skywalker dances, then yes. And that's just for you, Chris.
Just for the 5-minute scene he's in Episode 7.
Right. Well, okay. Speaking of which, and more than likely, yes, I will probably see it more times in the theater than, because I know at least I'm going to see it the 7 o'clock. I already have my ticket, the opening night. I will most likely see it the next day at the IMAX 3D or within that.
Yeah, remember the last time he did
It
that?
wasn't shot
Guardians.
in 3D.
Oh, I thought it was Spider-Man 3.
No,
Well,
Guardians.
that turned out
It wasn't shot in 3D, Rich. Why would you waste the money?
Because I converted the original Star Wars trilogy into 3D.
It wasn't. Why? Why would you do this? Why
It
would you
worked.
ruin the integrity of the movie?
It worked because what it does is it did a great job of pulling the depth out of the scenes. So you were able to spot, like in the canteen and things like that, you were able to see a lot of the background aliens a lot clearer.
I think that's called the placebo effect.
Whatever, it's not.
I'm going to have to agree with Sebastian.
Okay,
that's
speaking
the
of pulling
wanting
things
to-
out, I
Whoa.
don't know how that's a segue. The poster. This is the one thing I was going to in the opening. I was going to mention the poster. You got. I mean, I've dissected this thing left,
cool.
right,
Cool
up,
poster.
down.
It's not a Struzan, but they already did the Drew Struzan poster already for.
See, here's the thing, though. Why is it not a Drew Struzan?
because he
poster?
did his
He
already.
did it. He did
But
it.
that's
for-
the thing is all the theatrical release posters for the special editions and the prequels were all Drew Struzan posters,
Right.
and he's done other posters for it. This is
He
the
did
odd
the indie
thing with
posters
this.
also.
This is there's a reason. He is in Harrison Ford's contract. He is the only person. Drew Struzan is the only person that can paint his face.
Likeness, yeah.
Then
That's why this one is so confusing.
It's
And what this
Photoshop.
is it's a Photoshop of a number of different artists.
Yes.
That's the weird thing is when he started to kind of figure out what this was, it's a bunch of different artists that put this together. Now, I don't hate the poster. I thought it looked like a very Drew Struzan poster. My friend's like, oh, it's too busy. And I said, did you see episode 2?
Right.
The episode 2 poster is really busy, too.
Well, you put on Facebook. This is a Star Wars poster.
Because I was
It looks
very
like a Star-
disappointed in the D23 poster.
Which was
Because
the
at the
actual
time-
Struzan poster.
Yes,
yeah,
it
the
was.
Struzan poster, when they first released it, because it was Struzan, I thought they seemed to be saying that was going to be the theatrical poster.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, it can't be. It's missing like half the characters.
I still
And
think it's a
obviously it turns
nicer
out to be
poster, though, and that's just me.
I
know
know.
this is-
I
this is
didn't
the
like
more-
that other poster.
No, like this is the more like iconic Star Wars style poster,
it is definitely busier than anything that.
but I prefer the minimalism of the last poster.
because this one looks a lot to me. This looks a lot like the Empire Strikes Back
yeah,
B poster.
it does. It does.
The B poster for it with everything around it. Now,
The
difference
original
being,
B poster.
The difference being this movie has a lot more characters than Empire had
Yeah.
that you would want to put on the poster because you're trying to get
The main bad guy.
Kylo Ray. I was like,
Kylo
what the
Ren.
hell's his name?
He's
Ren,
the biggest
yeah.
guy. So he's the biggest. He's the most important character of the movie. He's the largest.
And Finn and Ray.
Rey is the second
and
largest.
Poe, and now you've got Han, Leia, Chewbacca, R2D2, C3PO, BB-8,
Phasma.
Captain
Phasma,
Phasma.
who apparently is a large part of this, and then tons of troopers. So you do have a lot of elements that you're trying to put into it. But
And also the new whatever the ship Death Star 3.
3.0.
yeah, well, that's the big thing is what that
That's the
is.
big reveal.
But
Yeah,
is it
there-
not knowing what it is?
We don't know what it is,
You're not,
though.
you're
Here's
not
what
exactly sure.
there had been a rumor that came out a while back that there was that the Star Killer base that they've been talking about was a super, it was kind of a Death Star-ish type thing, but they're saying that instead of being a planet killer, it's a star killer.
Right. So is it, because the Death Star 2 was already like
It's-
triple the size of the
it's
Death
the Sun
Star
Crusher.
1.
It's a
Yeah.
Dyson sphere. A Dyson sphere wouldn't actually be a.
No, it's a Sun Crusher. That's what the
Yeah.
Sun Crusher was. It
Yeah, the
flew into
Dyson
the middle
sphere
of the
would
sphere.
be
It would be it would-
gigantic because it needs to literally be built around a sun.
yes.
So it
Well,
looks
they
cool.
found one now.
Yeah. I like the giant exhaust port. It makes it nice to taunt the rebel scum.
Is that the exhaust port or is that the super laser?
Called Joke. Who knows what it is?
Well, here's the thing. Because as we've seen with a lot of the characters and things with this movie, J.J. Abrams has gone back to a lot of the original Ralph McQuarrie art.
Yeah.
Which the original Death Star, that looks more like what the original.
Right. Even the X-wings have the
X-wings.
split in half
BB-8
engines.
was one of the characters he created.
Well, the names they recycled so much because of West End Games recycled all of it. Too.
Even Rey's costume is a throwback to.
I think one of Luke's early costumes from the designs.
And also the Tusken Raider.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, my fear, as I said from the start, is if it becomes a movie that's just complete fan service and it's just doing the same thing. Because I had this problem with, the books when they got to Kevin J. Anderson's. Oh God, what was that book? But it's basically another Death Star. It was the Hutts had stolen the plans for the super laser.
There was a Sun Crusher, wasn't it?
No, this was
it was just the super laser that was in a yes. It was the cylinder thing.
Yep. They used the Death Star skeletal remains. Kevin J. Anderson used that again. There's another one. It was always a super weapon. It was the Sun Crusher. It was the
Devastators.
The Devastators. It's just like that's all it ever was. It was never just they're just the effing Empire and we need to stop them sort of thing. So it became
there's always
kind of looking at it this way too. I'm going, I don't know.
Well, do you think it was too much of a big? I mean, like
no.
Travis would have freaked out if he sees this poster.
Well, it's also, I mean, like that could be in the movie for 2 seconds before they do anything with it because they still have 2 more movies.
Right.
So I
well, I think the thing with it is where do you want to reveal that that's part of the plot?
Because the Death Star is in the original posters too, and nobody went, "Oh, what does that?" In the
Not
background?
the original posters. The original poster was just the word Star Wars.
Right, but the famous poster for the film with Luke,
the Howard Chaykin or whatever design poster.
Yeah, and it's again everyone's kind of.
Well, I think the difference with that is at the time that's a new element. You're not exactly sure what it is. Where it's a throwback piece here, and you're telling it'd be as if they didn't really reveal that the Falcon was ever going to be in it, and they put on the poster that the Falcon's in it. I understand it. It's hard to do it. It's like you've got to do a poster that does the film, unless you're going to do the Jedi, the Style A poster, which is just the saber.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a different time. You have to have.
But it's also, I think, for me, anyways. Like as much as I we're all nerds. We have that same inclination. Like, oh, what is that? What is this? You also have to remember, there's millions more people who just go like, oh, another Star Wars movie, cool. And they go, oh, hey, is that like another Death Star? Awesome. Oh, it looks like Darth Vader's back. Cool. Oh, Princess Leia's young in this movie. Oh, but wait, maybe that's
Did I noticed that in the trailer? She looks a lot like Leia.
Yeah, but that's the thing is like.
But here's the thing.
That's that two minds thing where it's like I also go. It's like the poster's not for me. The poster's for regular people to look at and go, oh cool, Falcon. Oh cool. There's a dude with a good person's lightsaber, and there's a dude with a bad person's lightsaber.
Well, if you look at this, the Death Star 3.0, as we're calling it, is on the blue side of the screen. Wouldn't it be kind of
a force field?
No. Wouldn't it be kind of ironic or a twist if it's part of the Resistance?
They're blowing up Empire planets.
Well, then they steal Michael P. Coop McDowell's entire Black Fleet Crisis.
Well, there's some people also
with the
saying
Seventh Fleet. Well, that was the point of the the creation of the Seventh Fleet in his trilogy, and especially the K-wing is when they said we're acting like the Empire. We built the fleet to come to crush any resistance that stands to us, and it is also the basis of the Legacy book series. When the Corellians, the Corellians separate themselves and say we don't want to be a part of the Republic anymore, and the Republic goes and tries to destroy them.
So, Rebels also premiered. Staying on the Star Wars, we'll get we all saw the first one. Ethan probably excluded. What'd you think of the first? What'd you guys think of the season premiere of Rebels?
Rebels has just been good, in general. I mean, just solid writing all around from everybody there. It's pretty fantastic.
Did this episode feel more like a Clone Wars episode or like a Rebels episode?
A little bit like Clone Wars, but a little bit like it's from the same teams, basically.
Yes, I mean it started out very Rebels cartoon. You know, it was very interesting. I didn't care about them sandworm fishing.
Well, that's the thing, is the middle of it has nothing to do with what they're there to do. It just kind of felt like it
was
It
a
was
little
them
slice
trying to
of
get them
life.
to trust them. Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
little slice of life. But like,
Which is fine. I mean, again, we gotta. It's for kids,
yeah.
so we gotta sort of.
I wish they could have held back that Rex was in it. That would have been a nice surprise.
You mean for showing him before the episode started?
Yeah.
Rex was awesome. I was
No, I thought Rex was
that was
great.
my
I
that was my favorite, easily my favorite thing, and not just because like I'm a huge Disney guy too, and he goes like, all right, cool, Star Tours and Rex is canon. I'm
Okay.
happy.
Now, Wolf and Rex.
And it was actually Pee Wee himself. It was his name escapes me now, and I feel really bad.
Paul Rubens?
Paul Rubens, yeah, he did the voice for Rex for the episode.
And the other two clones.
Yeah, but specifically for Rex, which made me, because they could have gotten anybody, but
Right.
they got Paul Rubens to be Rex again. So I was like,
Well, yeah, and they've done a great job. That's one of the best thing with Rebels is they've done a great job of getting the original actors to play
Themselves.
the voices and
Yeah.
themselves.
yeah, they got James Earl Jones to come back.
Mhm.
They got Billy D. Williams to come back.
Yep.
So I'm happy.
I'm pretty sure anybody could get Billy Williams to come back right now.
Speaking of, he's supposed to be in episode 8.
Well, yeah, he's got to meet his son.
I like, as much as we joke, I kind of feel really bad that it's like, son, I fought the Empire and you joined the, especially because he has the voiceover. He's like, I've been trained all my life to be, to do this job, and now I have nothing to fight for. So I presume that Finn is like, watching TIE fighters like, TIE fighters, awesome, stormtroopers, I'm going to do that. Kind of like Luke at the beginning of A New Hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, when he says I'm going to go to the academy, he's going to the Imperial.
He's going to the Imperial Academy, and then suddenly he's like,
That's a great what if story. What
Yeah.
if Luke joins the Empire? Why does this Vader person feel really familiar?
Well, there's some people that
What's the name of the new recruit? Let's see.
Skywalker?
Skywalker, my lord. Son of a bitch.
interesting.
Come here.
You're being advanced right now.
He takes off his helmet. Son, look into my eyes, and it's just like you get that like you rip off the Phantom of the Opera's mask, and it's a hideous monster. Like, oh Jesus, you're my dad.
Two things real quick. First of all, I don't know if it was you, Sebastian, or Ethan that made the comment that so far all we've ever seen with Finn in the trailer is he's always sweaty
It's
and always
Ethan.
out of breath.
He's always running and out of breath. That was Ethan. Because he's doing the
The Running Man.
I think there's only one scene
It's a
that
chase
we've
film.
ever seen of any trailer or any picture or anything where this man is not huffing and puffing. So
He's doing the
Let's
Tom
see.
Cruise.
Yeah.
Everything Tom Cruise has to have his running and then explosion and then getting his head knocked.
And the second thing goes back to Rebels. Wolf and Rex seem to retain their senses, and
they probably don't get
the
money
other
by
clone,
time.
I forget his name now, seemed to be very oddballish. Like he's
Their
completely.
version of PTSD.
Do you think that's what it was?
In a way. I mean, like
Pretty
you said,
fun.
they've had their kind of lives ripped away from them.
Right, but it also could just be a general
The point,
all the, clones,
the thing that's
they have
disappointing to me in the
different
episode
lives.
is there's no point where he basically says. I mean, he kind of says like, I didn't understand the point of fighting in general.
Yeah.
But he also never says, dude, we were the bad guys. Because he says the Jedi didn't do what the Jedi were accused of doing at some point.
But see, that was
Because
the other thing.
when he calls the saber and he's like, he's a Jedi, we have to kill him, and he's basically no, they didn't do, because it's walking that line now because they removed the chips.
Mhm.
It was the chip. It's not because they followed orders because they're soldiers, because that would be bad. And yet they still kind of have this idea that the rightful government of the galaxy was overturned by, or was tempted to be overthrown by the Jedi.
Well, but Rex does say when Wolf first draws his weapon at Kanan, "Relax, Wolf. These aren't the Jedi that betrayed us." And then he goes,
No, I thought he said something.
"No, that's what he says to Wolf at the first time."
No, I thought he said something like that wasn't. That they didn't do what they were accused of or something like that.
No, he says these aren't the Jedi that betrayed us. Because I've watched it. I watched that when I went back and listened to it to make sure. And then it flip flops where he talks about the Empire. Is not what they thought they were.
Got it. Here we go. Wait, we're gonna go through here. Boom. Watching the trailer here.
Oh, he's watching the trailer.
And Finn is not running and he is not sweating.
Oh,
He is on
there you
the
go.
bridge of the
one-
Falcon.
that's the one
That's the
scene.
one scene. He's just walking towards the little screen there.
But there is also a lens flare when they're showing Captain Phasma in the red.
Well, that's because
With the
it's
red
through the
behind.
window. It's a falling star. He's not really running here. He's pretty calm. He's walking across.
There are two scenes, it looks like.
Now he's running. Oh no, he's walking there too. All right, he seems to have calmed down a little.
So, on that note, I think we're going to wrap things up here for this week. Tune in next episode. We're going to maybe talk about Nintendo XD rumors that it's more.
Actually, no.
powerful.
Let's mention something really fast. 'Cause
Okay.
I watched this trailer a couple of times. You know what's in it a lot? BB-8.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Shut up.
as if it was really a part of the film instead
Shut
of just.
up.
It's just gonna be that one scene.
Shut up. So we're going to talk about the NX rumors that it may be more powerful than the PS4 and the Xbox One. Maybe touch on a little bit of Moon Knight, being on Netflix.
And we're going to talk more about Droid Rex from Rebels because he
Yes.
was only in one episode last year, but I just want to talk about him. 'Cause he's
Okay.
cool as Paul Rubens.
Droid Rex.
Rex.
Where was he in this episode?
He wasn't in this episode. He was in last season. He was in the Droids in Distress when they did a Star Wars
Oh,
episode.
okay.
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't
Yeah.
you kept talking about Rex? I'm like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about?
I'm
Rex is
talking
the
about.
clone
I'm talking
captain.
about Paul Rubens Rex because I want to talk about Paul.
No,
Rubens
we were talking about
Rex.
Captain Rex.
I know.
Is
I
that-
don't want to talk about Captain Rex. I want to talk about.
That's what I was
Pilot
talking
Rex.
about. The idea that if they could have held it a secret that Captain Rex was in it when he showed up, it would have been a much more stronger scene.
Right, but I think especially because they want to link to Clone Wars.
No, I know.
more, they're having.
But
fun.
no, that's what I'm saying. If they would have not told you 3 months ago
Oh yeah.
that Rex was in it, that would have been great. Of course, it would have been hard because then they show the second. Then they show this episode at Celebration,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
D23. So
Yeah,
yeah,
they
it would
did.
have been impossible to keep it a secret. But
No, they
no,
didn't.
It was good.
He was
Did
one of
they?
the because he's probably one of the oldest clones.
No, they
sort of
didn't.
just
They
living his
showed
life.
they showed the
Well, they showed the
Battle of
special.
Ryloth.
They showed the special. didn't
Yes.
they? Yeah.
So make sure you check us out next week. Also, make sure you check out the Walking Dead cast with Ethan and I. And for you know where to check us out: Facebook/Nerdables, Twitter @Nerdables Show, the
Enjoyable
website, everywhere else.
107 episodes.
How did Jordy ever see out of one of these things?
That's
I swear.
bullshit. Because last week I got it right.
The actor or the
Yeah, both.
well in the show it's he gets everything the visor feeds into the receivers on the side of his head.
That can't happen.
You know it's
That's not true.
science fiction I think is what they like to call it.
And if there's anything you'd like us to talk about or not
They got
talk
the
about, let
fiction
us
part
know.
right.
Leave us a comment.
The
Or just
blind
tell us
people
to fuck
seeing.
off.